Welcome back. This being the month of May, mental awareness is something that is very critical. And yes, during COVID-19 with the pandemic, it's something that we still want to talk about. We gave attention to it on Wednesday, but right now we want to even give more attention to it and take a look at mental awareness, mental health really, even just beyond COVID-19, what life looks like. So to help us have this conversation, I am joined by none other than Onyango Otieno. He's a mental health advocate and an author. And also joining us is Dr. Jennifer Karina. She's a psychologist and a life coach. Both of these two people are amazing at what they do, and they'll be helping us have this conversation, joining us via Skype. Thank you so much, Rix and Jennifer. Dr. so much for being with us this morning. Rix, let me start with you. Just share with Kenyans, maybe in a span of 2 minutes, your own personal story. And the reason why I say this, I'd love for our male audience to hear that as a man, you can talk about mental health and that it's okay through your story. Could you tell us just a little bit about your story, Rix?
Oh, well, sorry, thank you. I grew up in a very violent home. My mom and dad fought a lot, and I got depression when I was about 15 years old, and got suicidal when I was 16, ran away from home a couple of times. And as a result, I started writing poetry as a way of just coping with the situation, because I felt if I didn't say something, I was going to die. Through the years, my depressive emotions would come in and out, and I kept wondering what was wrong with me. And, you know, through searching and trying to understand myself, I got into another depressive phase in 2017. When I got suicidal again. And that time I had lost two good friends of mine through suicide, and they were both male. And I was coming off a toxic relationship that time and didn't have a job. So it was like, you know, you have to pay rent. There's nothing that looks like it's moving. So it got me thinking I could just take away my life, because the friends I had lost were not thinking about rent or traffic. They didn't have such stresses. So that's the time, you know, I remember taking a 2-hour long shower, just feeling this is too much for me. And I remember leaving the bathroom when the water was still coming down and pushing myself to get to my laptop, and got onto Facebook and started writing, because for me, writing was always my way out. So for those little moments, I shared about, you know, the feeling I was in, and that I think I'm struggling with depression, and I've had suicidal ideation. And, you know, that's really just changed my life, just coming out like that because of the number of people who reached out to me. So, yeah, 3 years later, I'm alive and healthy, and really encouraging a lot of young boys and men to learn to speak out their pain, because that silence has been killing us for a long time.
So Rix, being a man on top of that, why is it so important for you to tell your story, and why is it so difficult for men to sort of come to terms with their mental health? And I would love to hear also from Dr. Jennifer in just a little bit, but I want to hear from you. Why is it so difficult for men to talk about their mental health?
It's difficult for men to even talk about their emotions. I mean, we were brought up in a way that you didn't have any male figures who were expressive, and so it was a socialization around who a man is supposed to be, the identity of masculinity you are supposed to take as a boy. And that meant you were supposed to continue with the tradition of who men were supposed to be. But I had a problem with that, because I had so much to express, owing from the kind of pain I was dealing with as a teenager. And I felt I don't even want to care whether I'm a man or a woman. I just want to talk. I want space. I want to create communities and safe spaces where people can talk. It's just the fact that I'm a man, and I mean, it shouldn't take away from the reality of the need of communication, the need for expression, just because I take this form of a human being. So it's important for me, because men are human beings, and they've been brought up around very oppressive systems that have suppressed their emotions, and it's a violent act, in fact. And for me, it's like, we have to be free. We have to develop communities and societies where men are free to express themselves, away from all the socio-political complexities that teach them not to speak up.
Correct. Dr. Jennifer, why, as a psychologist, why is it difficult for men to talk about their mental health?
Because of the stigma that is associated to mental health, lack of understanding that really mental health is an illness, just like any other illness. And so simply because of the stigma that is attached to mental health, people don't generally seek for help. They do not even seek for medical attention. Actually, according to statistics, it is 75% people that suffer mental health do not seek medical attention, or they do not have the facilities that they can go to be treated. So at the end of the day, it's all about awareness. And awareness is the heartbeat of therapy. And because people don't like to talk about mental health, there is no emphasis even at family level about mental health, and there is a lot of denial about whether or not an individual is suffering mental health. So basically, it is something that as a nation, even at a global level, that many live in ignorance concerning mental health issues. And it is for that reason that you will find that individuals will not seek help because they really do not know.
Okay.
And many times, mental health doesn't just come in a flood. It comes sometimes in a subtle way. And so understanding and recognizing the signs and knowing that it is time to seek medical attention is sometimes elusive.
So, Dr. Terry, here's the thing. As I was doing my research, World Health Organization reports shows that there are 6 million Kenyans who suffer from common mental conditions. Now, common mental conditions are depression, substance abuse, stress, and anxiety. Now, out of those 6 million, 1.9 million cases are specifically for depression. Now, just away from just looking at depression, because I'd love for us to take a look at it from a blanket perspective. First of all, help us identify the difference between depression and just being stressed or just having a bad day. You know, you're just sad. Or let's say you were laid off from your work, or you lost a friend and it's been 3-6 months. Is that still considered depression, or is that a state of sadness that I'm in? Just help us differentiate between that, depression, being stressed, and being sad.
Okay. Generally, every human being will experience sometime emotional volcanoes, particularly when you go through loss, trauma, or any adverse effect on a lifestyle. Any loss and grief will trigger emotions of sadness. Now, what is of concern is if this sadness continues for a greater period of time. Say, if you experience sadness for over a month, it's something that you need to address. And the sadness comes with various other aspects. If your sadness brings along a feeling of resignation to life, if your sadness increases to a level of losing total interest in life, and if your sadness causes you to feel like causing harm to yourself, I don't feel like living anymore, a sense of hopelessness, then it's a major cause for concern. Otherwise, it's all right to be sad. It's all right to cry. It's all right to feel like you've lost everything. However, it is the magnitude in which you continue to escalate in this situation that makes a difference between a normal emotion and progressing to depression.